We have a government system designed to keep American families on the road safe, but that system has been compromised. I'm talking about non-domiciled commercial driver's licenses that are issued across the country. So in plain English, this is a license to operate a massive 80,000-pound truck that's being issued to foreign drivers who are not U.S. citizens or lawful permanent residents. The process for issuing these licenses is absolutely 100% broken. It has become a threat to public safety, and it is a national emergency that requires action right now.
What's going on, good and wonderful people? It's Sage here, back with another banger today. So we have breaking news. All right, y'all. So it hasn't been made official. The announcement's not going to come out until Monday, but it appears that the U.S. is tightening truck driver licenses for non-citizens and essentially making it damn near impossible for non-citizens to get a commercial driver's license. Now, I have to reference this article, read it out to you guys, react to it in real time because this video is unscripted. Don't really have time to, script up the video, make the fancy edits. Also, I have some, fancy edits here and there, but, it's going to be a little different style type of video. I'm going to read this article and react to it as I'm reading it. But yes, 2025 has been a pretty eventful year for the trucking industry. There have been a lot of, sadly, tragic incidents that have resulted in the deaths of the motoring public. And a lot of truck drivers have raised concerns, and there have been a lot of criticisms about non-domiciled, non-English speaking truck drivers. Individual states have implemented regulations to, essentially ban non-citizen truck drivers or make it difficult for non-domiciled CDL drivers that, have a certain work visa to drive trucks. We know the whole thing with Arkansas. They've pretty much tightened their requirements. Oklahoma took it a step further. And, pretty much we had some states that were pretty much non-compliant with the English language proficiency mandate that was implemented back in June of 2021. That was met with mixed reactions. And then earlier this month, the Trump administration raised the HP1 visa cost from I guess it was $10,000, $5,000, $10,000 all the way up to $100,000. Now, specifically for truck drivers, I'm pretty sure that it was the HP2 visa that applied to us. But yeah, those are a bunch of policies that have been implemented this year in response to accidents. Again, I hate that it took these deadly incidents to, invoke a response from the transportation secretary, but it is what it is. And this was pretty much started by a 2016 memorandum that relaxed the English language proficiency mandate. Bringing that back, we've seen about 3,000 truck drivers that have been put out of service so far, but it seems like this right here is really the nail in the coffin right now. This is pretty much the final rule that they're saying that's going to affect all U.S. truck drivers. Well, all non-domiciled truck drivers, including the 200,000 truck drivers that currently possess a non-domiciled CDL. So let's get into the article. So this article is from U.S. News. I will include it in the description box down below for you guys. But it says here, the Transportation Department tightens non-citizen truck driver rules after fatal crash in Florida. And if you guys are unfamiliar with what happened in Florida back in August of 2021, back in August of 2025, I think the date was August 21st. There was a truck driver from India. He was in the U.S. illegally. His name was Harjinder Singh. He made an illegal U-turn on the Florida Turnpike, and a minivan slammed into his trailer. 3 people passed away as a result, and that accident was essentially the turning point. As a result, the transportation secretary halted all visas for non-citizen truck drivers, or was it non-English speaking truck drivers? I think it was non-citizen truck drivers. And yeah, that pretty much was met with a lot of mixed reactions. I would say mostly positive, but then of course you had gotta make sure my audio is working. You have the Chicagoland CEOs that really didn't react too kindly to the news.
Let's make America's roads incredibly safe and secure for all citizens. These are precisely the kinds of encouraging and reassuring words we would genuinely like to consistently hear from our government officials and public servants. But unfortunately, and quite regrettably, we continue to hear divisive and unproductive politics, often filled with empty rhetoric, immediately after yet another tragic and preventable accident occurs on our nation's roadways. 99% of the signs along American roads are intuitively understandable and internationally recognized. If we're talking about speed limits, for example, they are typically written in clear Arabic numerals, not English letters, making them universally comprehensible and easily identifiable to drivers from various linguistic backgrounds. This widespread standardization ensures safety and clarity on our extensive road networks. 55, 65, 70, those are numbers, not letters. It's a picture, there are no letters. So what does English have to do with it? Why do you keep pushing this English language thing on us, as if everyone around is an idiot and doesn't understand the cause of the accident?
But yeah, I don't think he's really happy about this news right here, especially. But let's go through the article right now. So it says here the U.S. Transportation Department tightened commercial driver license requirements for non citizens Friday after 3 fatal crashes this year that officials say were caused by immigrant truck drivers. And we actually covered these incidents on this channel if you guys are interested. I think that well, actually, I know because I actually recorded this video, but again, had audio issues. But the accidents that they're referring to are the ones that happened in Texas. There was 2 of them, one in Terrell, one in Austin, and then there was one in Alabama. But they'll get into it later in the article. But it says here the new rule is making getting commercial driver's licenses extremely hard for immigrants because only 3 specific classes of visa holders will be eligible. States will also have to verify an applicant's immigration status in a federal database. These licenses will be valid for up to 1 year unless the applicant's visa expires sooner than that. Wow, so that's actually a pretty big change because the issue was there was a lot of lack of oversight. There was a lot of shenanigans, a lot of shadiness going on. We pretty much exposed DMV fraud out of Florida. Obviously, there was some DMV fraud involved with Harjinder Singh if he was able to get a full CDL from Washington and then a non-domiciled CDL from California. Safe to assume that, there was some DMV fraud there, but there have been other states implicated in, some audits that have pretty much been flagged for issuing non-domiciled CDLs without, vetting the drivers. Obviously, California and Washington are among the states on the list, but you also have states like Texas, Pennsylvania, New Mexico on the list as well. But continuing with the article, it says that a nationwide commercial driver's audit began after officials say a driver in the country illegally, again, they're talking about Harjinder Singh, made an illegal U-turn and caused a deadly crash in Florida that killed 3 people. Fatal truck crashes in Texas and Alabama earlier this year also highlight questions about these licenses. I don't think the article is going to go into detail about such crashes, but here's just a crash course on what happened. Now, in Texas, earlier this year, back in March, there was a truck driver by the name of Solomon Whitaker Araya. He was an Eritrean immigrant that hauled trailers for Amazon. He slammed into stop traffic, unaliving 5 people. Another truck driver that witnessed the event, he recorded him live, and he appeared to not, understand English at all. And it didn't register to him that he actually unalived these people, that these people are no longer here, and the coward tried to escape afterwards. So let's just take a look at that.
There's 2 people dead over there, and possibly 2 more, possibly 4. They're dead. They're dead.
Dead?
Yes, dead. Who are you calling?
I'm calling you.
Bro, they finna lock your ass up.
Huh?
They finna lock your ass up.
Who that?
They're gonna lock you up.
I'm lucky?
They're gonna lock you up. Lock you up. Put you in handcuffs.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they're gonna lock you up. That's manslaughter, bro. They're fucking dead. Subhanallah. Hey. He's taking off.
Huh?
He's taking off. The driver.
So yeah, you saw that, you heard that. Nobody really talked about this, but the family of Solomon Whitaker Araya actually had a GoFundMe for him. They raised about $500, if I'm not mistaken. Ridiculous. But what's even more ridiculous is that incident, that Florida Turnpike crash. The community actually raised $2 million for Harjinder Singh. Again, literally, you're just as bad as him. That's honestly ridiculous. He's facing 45 years in prison for that incident, and he deserves his sentence. He deserves everything that's going to come to him, and he's going to more than likely be alive long enough to actually be deported back to India because they issued a detainer for him. And then there was an incident in Alabama. Now that truck driver was a Ukrainian truck driver that only spoke Russian, and there was a while trying to, get that case settled because they couldn't find translators for whatever reason that spoke Russian that he could actually be able to communicate with law enforcement. Again, ridiculous. The trucking company he worked for was 4US Freight, 4US Transportation, 4US whatever. A Chicagoland carrier that has multiple names because they're all chameleon carriers. And then the other accident in Texas, in Terrell, Texas, involving Hope Trans LLC. I covered this twice, actually. That company is still in service for whatever reason. The CEOs are living good. Trucking's been good to them. They live in a $2 million mansion in Miami. Wrong type of people make money in trucking, I swear. But anyways, continuing with the article, they're actually threatening to withhold millions in funds from states that are not going to comply because we know that these states like California and Washington, whenever this administration implements policies that may actually be in the better interest of the general motoring public, they are usually opposed to these policies and they pretty much don't comply. When it came to English language proficiency, California said straight up they're not going to enforce it among their truck drivers, and they might actually have a choice because they're threatening to withhold $160 million in federal funding. And it says here, because the state should never have issued 25%, Jesus, of the 145 licenses that investigators reviewed. He cited 4 California licenses that remained valid until after the driver's work permit expired, sometimes years after. The state has 30 days to come up with a plan to come up with a plan to comply or lose funding. I accidentally zoomed in and now I can't zoom back out. I can't zoom out, unfortunately. So we're just gonna have to go with it. It says here, Duffy said the rules weren't strict enough and some states weren't even following them. The audit included the states I mentioned earlier in the video: California, Colorado, Pennsylvania, South Dakota, Texas, Washington. I thought New Mexico was on the list, but they're not on the list. But it says here, we have a government system designed to keep American families on the road safe, but that system has been compromised. And previously, Duffy threatened to pull some funding from California, Washington, New Mexico for failing to enforce proficiency requirements, English language proficiency requirements for truck drivers that went into effect this summer. So it says here the Transportation Department is still reviewing the responses from these states. He has questioned whether the Florida truck driver understands English, but a video of a traffic stop that New Mexico officials released showed him communicating with an officer, and I actually saw that video. I thought it was interesting. It seemed to me that he was pretty proficient in English, which makes me question how effective it is to actually enforce it if you're just, communicating with law enforcement. I think he was pretty much on the right track to not give him an English language proficiency test because, again, it seems like he understood English pretty well to me, but let me know what you guys think.
Instead, the body camera footage shows Singh speaking English.
My first time in the 5 years in the no ticket.
No tickets?
Yeah.
I hate to be the first guy to write you a ticket.
And following commands to pass a truck inspection. There are moments where it's clear Singh's command of English is not
I
perfect.
try to help you out.
My no license in the ticket.
What's that?
Yes, in the ticket in the no my credit.
I'm sorry, I guess I don't understand.
Maybe in the this my ticket in the my license. Yeah. How many years?
But the guidance sent to states says if the inspector's initial contact with the driver indicates that the driver may not understand the inspector's initial instructions, the inspector should conduct an ELP assessment. And although it's hard to hear, the footage shows the driver understanding those initial instructions.
Okay, so all you do driver's license? Yeah. And then your truck.
We did obtain this sample test the DOT posts online for carriers to test their drivers.
All right, so you guys, you saw that, you heard that. Let me know what you guys think. Now, he did, in fact, fail an English language proficiency test. So the video may tell one story, but him, doing a written assessment tells a different story. All right, so it says here, California has defended its practices, and a spokesperson for Gavin Newsom dismissed Duffy's latest attack. Former D-list reality star, now Secretary of Transportation, still doesn't understand federal law. We'll respond to today's letter in due course, spokeswoman Diana Cross Piallo said. She said that commercial driver's license holders from California have a significantly lower rate of crashes than both the national average and Texas average, which is only the state with more licensed commercial drivers. Is that true? Somebody fact check down below for me. All states must pause issuing commercial driver's licenses to non-citizens until they can comply with the new rules. So it appears that this rule is temporary, banning non-citizens from getting truck driver licenses, CDLs, until they're able to demonstrate that they can comply with federal regulations. Now, of course, you have the states that have been pretty much opposed to federal regulations, like California, like Washington, and it's only only time's gonna tell if they're able to actually comply. But yeah, this is pretty interesting. So it says here the new rules restrict eligibility. Under the new rules, only 10,000 of the 200,000 non-citizens who have commercial licenses will qualify for them, which will only be available to drivers who have a H-2A, H-2B, or E-2 visa. H-2A is for temporary agricultural workers, while H-2B is for temporary non-agricultural workers, and E-2 is for people who make substantial investments in a U.S. business, but the rules won't be enforced retroactively, so looks like you are not as affected if you currently possess a non-domicile CDL. Because it says here that the 190,000 truck drivers, they'll be allowed to keep their CDL at least until they come up for renewal. So when it's time to come up for renewal, you will have to then be subject to those requirements. You have to be able to show identification, verify that you are actually here legally, and actually demonstrate English language proficiency, or you'll be one of those truck drivers that will be put out of service. Continuing, it says here, Duffy said that even with the reported shortage of truck drivers, he doesn't think the new rules will cause a problem. My hand is killing me, y'all. I'm sorry. Jesus. I have to hold this light a certain way because I'm too cheap to actually get a softbox light. But yeah, he said that even with the reported shortage of truck drivers, which does not exist, y'all need to stop saying that there is a shortage of truck drivers. That's not true. He doesn't think the new rules will cause a problem because these licenses represent only 5% of all commercial driver's licenses. So removing non-citizen drivers from the industry could force trucking companies to increase wages, which is what we all want, of course, for entry-level operators and draw more job seekers, said Jonathan Marquez, founder of the Driving Academy in Linden, New Jersey. Hey, shout out to the Driving Academy. I love their YouTube channel. Y'all go subscribe to them. The ATA, the American Trucking Association, and the Owner-Operator Independent Driver Association, OIDA, had pushed for an audit in the spring and praised the Transportation Department's efforts. Rules only work when they're consistently enforced, and it's imperative that all state driver license agencies comply with federal regulations, ATA President and CEO Chris Spear said. Loopholes for unqualified drivers have created unnecessary safety risks on highways, said Todd Spencer, who leads the Independent Drivers Group. Yes, so yeah, these loopholes were pretty much exploited as a result of relaxing those English language proficiency requirements. As you guys know, back in 2016, the Obama administration implemented that memorandum, and as a result, there's just been chaos, it seems like, ever since, but definitely has been exasperated this year, in my opinion, of course. Now, it says the Florida crash drew outrage from the president, and Duffy inspired a political fight between the governors of California and Florida. It also put I hope I'm pronouncing that. Y'all are going to come after me in the comment section. It puts Sikh drivers in the crossfire because the truck driver is a member of that faith. Now, I did mention earlier that that family of Solomon Whitaker Oriah raised $500 for him, which is actually a lot for Arichia because that's where he's from. Well, they raised $2 million for him. Like I said, it's not going to move the needle. It's not going to change the outcome, but it really exposes what that community really stands for. That driver is most definitely in the wrong, and he deserves to have the book thrown at him. And that's pretty much the article. Now I figured out how to zoom out. Okay. Audio still appears to be good. Still appears to, be in the clear. yeah, that's the video. My hand hurts. I had to hold this light. I got to hold this light a certain way so I have lighting in my video. Otherwise, there's just no lighting. So yeah, my hand is pretty numb. Guys got to see my loose skin in the video. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the breaking news affecting non-citizen truck drivers. They're essentially no longer allowed to get a CDL right now, at least. Do you guys agree with it? Do you guys disagree with it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. You guys are the greatest. You guys are the best audience on the internet. If you enjoy content like this, hit the like button, comment, rate, share, and subscribe. I am Tasia Ellison, and I'll see you next time.